Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the Get Fit With Me, expanding your physical and mental fitness group. This group is for individuals who are ready to expand both their physical and mental fitness while helping and supporting others with similar goals all along the way. In this group, we talk about three main areas. Two of them are listed in the title of this group. We talk about physical fitness, so like actual movement, stretching, moving our bodies, move and learns, like actually moving those body parts. We talk about mental fitness. So working through some of that crap that we don't want to talk about, like why, our excuses, all of these things that get in our head. And then we also talk about nutrition. Sometimes we dive a little bit deeper into nutrition, and sometimes we just talk about some of the basics. But if we can keep all of these areas simple and to the point, we're more likely to implement change and habits and routines into our life that are going to stick. So today we're talking about nutrition. We're talking about protein. And before we get into today's training, I like to first start off by shouting out somebody who has welcomed new members into this group. And Elena, shout out to you for inviting new people into this group, because as this group grows, we grow, we connect, and we all get better. So if you know somebody who you think would benefit from this group, share this link with them. Share, if you don't know how, drop share in the comments and I will make sure to get that. I will help you with that, but share this link with them, invite them in. If you find this helpful, maybe somebody else will. So in addition to our shout out, I want you guys to let me know in the comments, can you hear me? Can you see me? Are we on live? Is everything working how it's supposed to? If you're watching the replay, drop hashtag replay to let me know that you're here. This chat lives on, and you're gonna get the most out of these calls if you click that Zoom link above me, or if you are commenting in the chat for those replays. A lot of times we listen to things, and if we're not fully engaged, we don't always retain all those pieces and nuggets. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Morgan Ukovich, and I am here to help you create a healthy lifestyle that you love without having to give the things that you love in life. I like to also go around the room, and I want to know who you are, where you're from, and because we're talking about protein today, do you think you're getting enough protein? Do you think you're getting enough protein in your diet? Maybe you didn't even know you were getting enough you had to get enough protein, but I want to know from you. We got Tanya connecting right now. So for those of you who are in the chat, drop who you are, where you're from, and answer the question of, do you think you're getting enough protein in the day? Hello, Tanya.
Hello.
How are you?
I look very old on my camera.
Oh, stop it. Are you going to turn your camera on today or no?
I don't know. I'm thinking.
You look beautiful.
Yeah, right.
We both have our glasses on today.
Yes.
Well, do you mind introducing who you are, where you're from, and answering the question of, do you think you get enough protein in your day?
I think I get enough protein in my day. My husband's a farmer, so we always have meat and potatoes. I think I lack more in the area of vegetables.
Okay. Well, perfect. I'm excited to dive into kind of what your protein looks like and kind of get an idea of what that entails. And for today, the intention of the training, because there's no point of you all being here and listening and retaining any of this if you don't know why. So the intention of today is for us to calculate what your minimum amount of protein that you need per day is. And we'll do an equation. There is math that I can either do it for you or you can do it on your own. And then we're also going to be going over how many grams of protein are in certain things like chicken, like steak, like turkey, like eggs, like edamame, like any of those things. We're going to go through and see how much protein's in those, because we have some really high protein foods and we have some lower protein foods, but they all count towards that daily goal of grams that we are looking for. So let's get into it. A couple weeks ago in our accountability group, I shared a podcast with the ladies in there, and it was an amazing podcast. And I'm going to share it in here too for you guys who want to listen. It was an amazing podcast talking about protein and skeletal muscle. And skeletal muscle is like your bicep, your butt, your quad. It's those big muscles that normally when you go and do a workout, those are the muscles we're thinking about when we think of skeletal muscle. And the correlation between skeletal muscle and protein. So if you're working really hard, you're trying to build all this muscle, but you're not eating enough protein, you're not going to end up building any muscle. Your muscle is going to stay exactly where it's at, or it's going to decrease. So you want to make sure that you're getting enough protein in for the type of activity that you are doing in a day. And that if you have the right amount, you are going to increase your longevity, which who doesn't want to live longer? Like, I want to feel better. I want to live longer. So if I can strength train and eat the right amount of protein, and that's going to help me, I want to make sure that I know how much and what I'm doing. I've always been a huge fan of protein. Like Tanya, I grew up with always having some sort of meat at just about every meal. Both my parents grew up as dairy farmers, so none of that was ever foreign to me. But after listening to this podcast, I downloaded my MyFitnessPal to track my food. I hate tracking my food. Any of you guys who know me know that I hate tracking my food. But I was doing it for the sole purpose of actually seeing how much protein I am taking in each day. Because unless I actually record it, I don't know. I just have an estimation. So I recorded it, and I was not getting enough protein in, and I am pretty protein conscious. So that was really eye-opening to me, which made me realize I cannot be the only one that's thinking we're getting enough protein and really not. So that is what brought on today's training that I'm excited to dive into because it is awesome. So I have some questions. And the first one I have is, Tanya, did you know there was a minimum amount of protein in grams that you should be having per day?
I figured there was.
Do you have any idea what that number may be or how you would come up with it?
Not a clue.
Not a clue. Exactly. Most people don't. And honestly, I learned about this in school, and I still have to look up what the equation is because it's not engraved in my mind quite yet. How about protein at each meal? Do you have protein at your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, your snacks? Are you pretty good about making sure you have at least a small protein source at each of those?
Yes.
Which meal do you find is the easiest to add protein to, and which one's the most challenging?
Well, since I don't do the cooking at night, it would probably be supper because Neil makes sure we have protein.
And what is the most challenging, would you say?
Probably lunch.
Lunch? And why is that?
Because, I don't feel like doing much work because I'm working on my business. I don't, I'm at home. So there's not, I find a lot of times I'll just have a couple of hard-boiled eggs around.
Perfect. I actually had those for lunch today. I was tired of fried eggs. I was like, I'm gonna make hard-boiled eggs. Perfect. And the last question I have is, what is your main protein source? Like, what is that? Do you guys have chicken a lot? Do you have steak? Do you eat a lot of eggs? Like, what would you say is that protein source that you have at least daily or every other day?
Well, Neil I would say since he does the cooking, we probably have the highest probably is beef, then probably pork, chicken, but we always have eggs and stuff. Like on the weekends, on Sundays, Neil usually makes eggs, or sometimes he'll do pancakes or waffles, but usually eggs for breakfast.
Perfect. And those are really good sources. And then the best part is beef. You can have it in like 100 different ways. Have you ever seen the pictures of the cows and how they chop it up? It's like 100 different ways that you can get beef from this cow.
Yeah, we usually order half a beef from the locker.
Nice.
And then we'll sell half of that off. So, and then we'll have, take our source from that. We don't buy it at the grocery store.
If we had a freezer, we would do that. We are in a rental and we don't have enough room for like a big chest freezer. because we've been talking about it, because farm fresh meat tastes so much
Yeah.
better than grocery store meat.
Awesome.
So
My
much better.
husband ruined me.
That's what somebody said. They're like, I will never buy Walmart beef again now that I've had the farm fresh. Like, nothing against it, but there is just that next level of excellence that you will not go back to.
Right.
So, based on all those questions, we're actually going to do some math, which you are welcome to get a piece of paper and do this. I can do it for you. We will be needing to know weight. So if that's something you're uncomfortable with, I will use my numbers and you can just follow along on your own with your own weight. But to figure out how much protein we need to figure out how much we weigh, and then we grab a certain percentage from it. So for trial purposes, I'll use mine, and then we can follow along, and any questions along the way, I will ask them. And I have my handy dandy whiteboard today. And so let's see here. And you can see my ring lights. I always love when I hold my whiteboard up and you can see the lights behind it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our weight in pounds, because we live in America and we usually weigh ourselves in pounds. Very few of us, we have our scale set to kilograms. So for these equations, we need to have our weight in kilograms. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your weight in pounds. Let me grab my pen and I will do this with us. So my weight in pounds is 160. And then I'm going to divide that by 2.2, because that's what's going to convert us into that kilograms. It's a universal equation. I don't get to choose it. And the nice part is, don't multiply it. Multiply makes it bad. The best part is you get to divide it and your weight gets smaller when you put it in kilograms, if you did not know. So for any of you who are feeling a little uneasy about the number, don't worry. When you turn it into kilograms, it gets smaller. So 160 divided by 2.2, which means I am 72.72 kilograms.
Cool.
Less than 100. That's nice. So that's also a really good way if your doctors ever have, or you're looking at something and you have to measure something in kilograms, you just take it and divide it by 2.2. So now we have any questions there, Tanya?
Well, I don't want to get a piece of paper because I've been writing all day and I'm exhausted.
That's okay.
So you could do mine, I suppose.
Let's do it.
It's 150.
Perfect. So we have 150. I should probably put yours in a different color. Let me do this so we can keep them both up here.
Okay.
So 160, and we have 72.72. And then 150. So this is where my math comes in. Calculator divided by 2.2. So Tanya, you are 68.18 kilograms.
Interesting.
It is. It's funny to think that it's like Celsius for me. Like when you go to Fahrenheit to Celsius, it throws me off. It's completely wonky. I like kilograms. I remember converting this in college was like really hard for me for some reason. Now I'm like, oh, this is easy. But it's that first time of trying to understand it. So Tanya, I put you in pink and me in brown. So you are 68.18 kilograms. What we are going to do now is determine what our minimum is. And our minimum is going to be the minimum amount of protein to prevent muscle loss. If we do not eat this minimum, what happens is even just not doing anything throughout our day, our muscle loss, we're going to lose muscle if we do not eat this certain amount. So we'll do, so we take our kilograms, which is 68.18 times 0.8. 0.8 grams of protein is what we are timesing it by, times 0.8. is going to equal 68.18 times 0.8. So yours is 54.54 grams of protein.
That sounds like a lot.
Doesn't it? It sounds like a lot. So we're going to get to work through this and kind of look at one of your days. So we'll walk through and see, are you hitting that mark or are we not? It was a real eye opener for me. So mine is 72.72 times 0.8. Mine is 58.17 grams of protein. Okay. So we have our minimum grams of protein. This, Tanya, number, if you listen to anything today, this is the number you need to remember, because this is the absolute minimum to keep you from losing muscle if you were to just lay on the couch all day long.
Okay, question. Why do we convert to kilograms?
Because the equation is grams per kilogram per day. It's just the way the equation's made up.
Okay.
I believe a lot of these studies started off not in America, and everywhere else but here, they use kilograms.
Okay.
So that is our minimum. I am going to throw one little thing at us, because I can guarantee some of you that are watching, and myself included, and Tanya, you're physically active throughout your day. You're moving around.
Yeah.
You're walking on the treadmill. You're doing things. Or maybe some of you are.
And you'll be very proud of me. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I did 30 minutes on my intervals on the treadmill Monday. Tuesday I couldn't because I had an appointment. Yesterday I went 15 minutes, and this morning I went 15 minutes. I'm gonna try and get 15 minutes in tomorrow.
Nice job. So proud of you. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good, except my butt's sore. And you're right. If I don't have to feel guilty about not doing 30 minutes, because I'm actually starting a habit. And if I can start with 15, then maybe increase back to what I was doing before, it'll be even better.
Exactly. Starting with just the 15, get used to it, get going. And then if you are able to get 16, and do 16. And you can even move up minute by minute. Nice work. So proud of you.
Well, I thought you might. So I thought I know it isn't on our protein thing, but maybe the other people out there will realize, if an old lady like me can start trying to create a habit, anybody can.
You are not old. You are
not in mind. In mind, I'm not. So what you say is right.
If what I say is right?
Yes, and it actually creates habits. And that's why I'm on today with the protein, because if I can start maybe getting close to what I need, but then I'm going to end up with more weight too, right? No,
not necessarily, because when you eat more protein, you feel fuller, which means you're not going to eat as many carbs and you're not going to eat as many fats. So your body is going to be able to sustain itself and feel fuller longer, which means you're not going to eat as many snacks. So there's a whole chain effect in addition to just helping your skeletal muscle and keeping you strong and making sure that we're supporting our bones and our joints in the correct way.
Okay.
So our minimum, 54.54 is Tanya's. Mine is, I can't read backwards, 58.17. Well, that's if we were to lay on the couch and literally do nothing. If we were sedentary individuals where we sat in front of a computer all the time, and then after we got done in front of the computer, we moved onto the couch. And then after that, we moved onto the bed. That's not the case. Some of us are more active than that. I know I am. I know, Tanya, you just said you were. I know we may not be more active every day, but there are definitely some days where we are all more active than our normal 9 to 5 jobs.
Right.
With that being the case, The more active you are, the more protein you need, because the more active you are, the more your muscles are being used. And we want to make sure that we are giving them the right amount of protein to help repair them so they can stay strong. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but it's gonna scare me. I can see it now. The amount anyway.
Are you there? Oh, sorry, did I
Yeah,
freeze?
you're back. You were froze for a minute.
Oh no. Come on, internet. Do the thing you're supposed to do. So with that being the case, as you can see here, there's a little range. So this is 1 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram.
Okay.
I like to tell people, focus on your minimum first. We always focus on your minimum. Same with water. Figure out your minimum, get consistent, get going well with your minimum. Once you have hit your minimum, then you can take it up a notch. I'm loving the water intake, Tanya. And then you can take it up. So for me, I can hit my minimum pretty easily. It's hard for me to hit what I need to for my physical activity level. Athletes, they need 1.6 to 2.2 grams.
Wow.
So I'm going to do mine just for instance, so you guys can see what that math looks like.
Awesome. Because
it's really going to give you an idea. So in this range, I normally will choose like 1.3. I like to choose somewhere in the middle, more than 1 gram, but not quite 1.6. So this right here, we have 72.72 times 1.3. I need, for being physically active, or if I was really dieting, I would need 94.53 grams of protein.
My gosh, if you convert that back, that's a lot.
What do you mean convert that back?
If you change, are you going to say it again?
So based on my kilograms times 1.3 grams,
okay,
I get 94.53 grams of protein.
Okay. So what is that in ounces?
Okay. We'll do that math later. Give me a moment.
Okay.
Don't you know that equation off the top of your head? So 94.53 grams.
Okay.
If I was an athlete, let's say I was a college or a pro athlete, and so now I have 72.72, because there may be some of you who you play extracurriculars still. You do a bunch of these rec sports, you weightlift, maybe you're a power lifter, maybe you do things like that. We would put you more towards that. Let's say 2. Let's go all the way to 2 grams. So 2 grams equals 72.72 times 2. You need at least 145.44 grams of protein.
So how many grams are in a kilogram? 100?
How many grams are in a kilogram?
I guess it doesn't really matter. But then
that was not my strong suit.
Well, don't look at me. It wasn't mine either.
Ounces to grams.
The reason why I ask is then you would kind of have an idea what the ounces would be.
So 1 gram is 0.03 ounces.
Oh, you jumped. Okay. 0.03. Okay.
Yeah, so if we go ounce to gram, so 1 ounce, okay, here we go. This makes more sense. 1 ounce of protein is 28 grams.
Oh.
So, but it depends on the food. Depends on the food and some of that, and we're going to go over so you get an idea.
Okay.
So you can look at it as ounces or grams. I like grams just because in case people have scales, it becomes a little bit more accurate, I find. I can do grams a little bit easier by looking at the back of things. But you can take it whichever way you want it to. The equation shows up in grams, so I use grams.
Yeah, so in other words, Tanya, stop being so difficult.
No, you are good. So this right here, Tanya, we're going to focus on your number of 54.54 grams of protein per day.
Okay.
I'm going to take a picture of this so I can post this in the chat, and then I'm going to erase this board. Okay. So this is going to be, I'm going to be going over some PDFs. I'm not going to show them to you, but Tanya is going to kind of give me an idea of some of the proteins that she eats throughout her day. And we're going to start to get an idea of how many grams she's actually getting in. So with that being the case.
Want to do yesterday?
Yes. Tanya, protein. And for those of you as I'm going through these PDFs, if you want these PDFs, drop the word protein either in the comments, in the chat, and let me know. These are resources that I got from that podcast I listened to, and they're fantastic. So I'm more than happy to share them with you. Just drop protein in the comments. So Tanya, what did you have yesterday?
I started off with English muffins. There probably isn't any protein in butter, is there?
See, this is where.
Because I buttered them, and then 1/2 of the muffin, I put about a tablespoon of peanut butter.
So let's do, technically in butter, there is 0.1 gram. So when you track on an app and you put these things in, it's going to be really easy to get these really minuscule amounts. But when we look at it like an English muffin right now, let's see. English muffin protein. We've got 2.2 grams. So
really?
Your English muffin has 2.2.
Okay.
Butter has 0.1. You said you had peanut butter?
Yeah.
And you had 1 or 2 tablespoons, would you say?
What?
Of peanut, 1?
Yeah, I only did it on one side.
Okay. And anything else for breakfast?
No. Coffee.
So, coffee. Coffee doesn't have protein. Coffee doesn't have anything.
Yay. It has caffeine to keep me awake and get me going.
So for breakfast yesterday, you had, and this is because we didn't measure the food out, we have an approximation here, and we had approximately 6.3 grams. And our goal is 54.54.
Okay. Got a ways to go.
Let's look at snack. Did you have like a morning snack, something between breakfast and lunch?
Banana.
Okay. Banana's got 1.3 grams of protein for a medium banana. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. So this is a snack. Then we have plus 1.3. Okay. Is your next one lunch?
Yes.
And what did you have for lunch?
I had a hard-boiled egg.
Okay. Which a hard-boiled egg is 6 grams.
See, what else did I have? And then I think I had some potato chips, but they're the kettle ones. I like the crunch. Yeah, I like the crunch. Probably nothing.
I find this hard to believe, but it says 3 grams, so we'll count it.
Oh my word. Interesting.
Anything else?
No.
Okay, so for lunch, you have 9 grams. So far, just to get an idea, so we have 54.54 minus 6.3 minus 1.3 minus 9, you have 37.94 grams of protein left to try to get in.
Mm.
Did you have an afternoon snack like yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
What'd you have?
I had a piece of my fresh strawberry pie
Ooh,
that I made.
strawberry pie,
Yeah,
protein.
it's not, the thing is, it's fresh strawberry pie, so it's made with Jell-O and fresh strawberries rather than filling.
I'm gonna go no protein in that based on what you just shared.
Okay. Not even in the crust.
What kind of crust was it?
It was a regular pie crust that I made with flour, Crisco, and water.
That's
I make a good pie crust.
okay, so based on this pie crust, it doesn't tell me what's in it, but for one piece, which is 1/8 of a 9-inch
Yeah.
pie, is 1.5 grams.
Yay.
I love it. 1.5 grams. Okay, let's subtract that from your total. You're 36.44 grams still. What was for dinner?
Okay, for dinner I had probably 1.5 ounces of tuna on the grill.
1.5 ounces tuna. So that's going to be 12 grams.
And then I had vegetables. I had, a mix of broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots.
We're gonna put, so 1 cup of broccoli is 3 grams. Would you say in total you had about a cup of vegetables?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just gonna estimate here and do 3 grams.
Okay. And then I made noodles and we put cheese over the top. So it was, instead of macaroni and cheese, it was bow tie and cheese.
Bow tie pasta. So 1.5 cups of bow tie pasta is 7 grams of protein. How many would you say you had, like a cup?
I probably had 1.5 cups. I went back for seconds.
Okay, we're gonna go 7 grams then. And then what kind of cheese did you have?
It's that soft cheese like you get for Fritos that you dip. It make, the little can in where the potato chips are. If you use that with butter and milk, it is fantastic for macaroni and cheese.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Of course, Neil made that.
So let's add like 5 grams there between the milk and the butter and the cheese. We'll go 5.
Okay. And then the last thing I had, because I can't eat after 7, but I did because he was late, is probably about 10 of those Brooks-sized pomegranate. And I still can't lose weight. And that wasn't that bad.
And it's not showing.
It probably doesn't have anything, honey.
Yeah, not from what I'm seeing. So let's do your math and see what your dinner looked like for protein. So 12 plus 3 plus 7 plus 5, right there for dinner, 27 grams. So dinner was definitely your meal that had the most amount of protein. So now when we do the math, we take your 54.54 and we minus it by these totals.
I think I'm over.
You still need 9.44 grams.
But I'm close.
You're close. You are close. So based on that, I'm going to share some things that are around 9 grams of protein.
Great.
So for a half a cup of lentils is 9 grams. You could have a half a cup of pinto beans, which is 11. You could have a cup and a half of cooked spinach, which would get you 9. Let me see what else.
That's a lot of spinach.
Well, cooked spinach, a cup and a half is like this much.
Yeah.
It cooks. It's crazy. You put a whole bag in the thing, and the whole thing goes away.
You know how my mom used to, buy it in a can, so for cooked spinach for vegetable, and then we put a little bit of vinegar on it. It was so good. Yeah.
Not a cooked spinach fan or vinegar fan, but for those of you who like that would be good. So Tanya, some other things are pumpkin seeds. 1 ounce of pumpkin seeds is 9 grams. You could do sunflower seeds, pistachios. Those are all 6 grams.
I did have some peanuts. Or peanuts have
7 grams for 1 ounce.
Oh, good. So you need to add that because I had probably a handful of peanuts because Neil has a jar here next to his chair. Neil has lots of things next to his chair.
Okay, so we'll add that in. So let's do.
So I'm only 2 off.
Only 2. So if we look at, well, the lowest thing on here is a 3, but some of the things are cashews, walnuts, chia seeds, sunflower seeds, flax seeds, pistachios. So Tanya, for you to hit your minimum for you eating exactly how you did yesterday, let's say every day you eat the same exact thing. My only suggestion would be maybe add a little bit more peanut butter. Maybe add 1 more.
But isn't there a lot of fat and sugar in peanut butter? That's why I didn't do the other side.
Yes and no. If you're having a serving size, then it's a really good, it's when people are going spoonfuls in at a time like I used to do in college. Like when you eat a half a carton of peanut butter a day, it's not very good for you, and the fat and sugar outweigh the protein. But it's a really good addition. The other thing that you could have done is you could have had 2 ounces of tuna instead of 1.5 ounces.
True.
And that right there would have got you right to your goal. So thinking about little areas where you maybe have 1 more egg, or you add an extra 1/2 ounce.
How much does a hard-boiled egg have? I forget.
6.
Okay.
So you could add another egg into your day. Chicken, 3 ounces. 3 ounces is a serving of protein when it comes to meat, and that's going to be 28 grams.
Okay.
Steak, 3 ounces. I'm not sure anyone who eats 3 ounces of steak. I eat like 8 ounces at a time. 26 grams for 3 ounces of steak. Real turkey, not deli meat turkey, is going to be 25 grams for 3 ounces. Lamb is going to be 23 grams of protein. Pork is going to be 22 grams of protein for 3 ounces. And then ham is going to be 14. So in this PDF that I'm reading off of, so I don't mess up these numbers, remember, if you want this PDF, just drop protein and I will make sure I get it sent to you. Print it off, put it on your fridge, so that when you are just becoming conscious of it and intentional about, oh, I should probably have more than a handful of peanuts. What could I pair with it that would be a good tuna? Great. 3 ounces of tuna is 22 grams. Awesome. Like right there, you could easily add in a packet of tuna and be increasing your protein really easily.
So since I had a tuna, I mean, would there be a difference in like last night we had a fillet of tuna. It was like a steak. How's that? Is there a difference when you compare that to a can of tuna?
Yes and no, and you're gonna find those more exact numbers either on the if you go to the butcher. I don't know if fish is still a butcher. If you go to the butcher and they like put the sticker on it and you can see how many grams and stuff are in there, it's gonna be different than your tuna packet. But when you look at it just in a more general scheme of I'm having tuna, I'm having 3 ounces. This is my approximate give or take. That's the way to look at this, because we could
Okay.
really, like when we did your butter, 0.1 grams, we could really get nitty gritty with each and every one of these. So just kind of getting the idea of what are some of your main meals? How many grams do your main meals have? So Tanya, if that's a normal breakfast for you, your normal breakfast has about 6.3 grams.
Yeah, that's what I have every morning.
Yep. So that's an easy 6.3 grams right away in your morning. And then throughout your day, as those other meals change, is when you can look at the sheet and do the, oh, well, we're having a 6-ounce steak tonight. Well, that's 40, no, that's 50 some ounces right there. You have 6 ounces of steak at dinner and you've hit your protein goal.
Wow.
For your minimum. Remember, this was your minimum so that you do
Right,
not
if I
have
didn't
muscle
move.
loss.
And if I didn't move.
Yes, if you did not move at all.
Interesting.
And I will show you guys this, and Tanya, I'll send this to you so you have kind of the breakdown. This is how I did it. For those of you who like to use an app, MyFitnessPal, Fitbit, those are both really great apps to use because you can kind of scan a barcode on anything and it puts all your data in. Or you can just search the food. When Tanya was going through, I literally had Google open. I typed in butter, protein, and it told me. It kind of, Google's really awesome with that, is it breaks it down really nice for you. So thinking about it, it's not something that I want you guys to consume yourself with. Oh my gosh, am I hitting my grams? Am I stressing about this? But just be aware of, for a couple days even, or maybe, or just more often, am I getting enough protein? How much protein am I getting? Maybe I'm not eating any. If you're somebody who doesn't eat meat, you're really going to want to look at the seafood and make sure you're getting an adequate amount of seafood throughout your week. And you're also going to want to look at the grains, the vegetables, and the lentils, because right there, you're going to get your protein through there. Quinoa has protein, pinto beans, lentils, edamame, black beans, red kidney beans, chickpeas, black-eyed peas, fava beans, wheat berries. Like there is so many non-meat options as well. And meat options is what is more common. More common. I'm a big meat eater, so it's easier for me. And for those of you who are not meat eaters, really having to be intentional about getting your non-meat protein in. And it just means you're going to have to eat more of them. Because if we looked at cooked spinach, a half a cup is 3 grams. So if you really like spinach, go ahead and fill up on a lot of those, but it's going to just take you longer. So really looking for those higher protein non-meat options, which is going to be your pinto beans, your soy nuts, which is 12 grams. And then Greek yogurt is a really good one. It's 18 grams, same as cottage cheese is 14 grams. So looking for those higher grams of protein, and you can do that by just flipping over whatever you're looking at and find the protein on the nutrition label. If you don't have this sheet in front of you, just to get an estimate of like, oh, this has a good amount of protein. If it has 0, I recommend finding something with 0, unless it's something like butter. Where butter, they're not going to put to the grams on because it's less than 1.
Yeah. Makes sense. So I have a question. I know of some friends that are vegetarian, and this one person has been vegetarian ever since I've known him, which is probably, oh gosh, all the way back to the 90s. And what I notice is her hair is getting thinner. And I would think that protein would affect that.
Protein and collagen are going to be things that you want to make sure you're getting enough of, because protein's great for skeletal muscle. It's great for our bones. It's great for our hair, skin, and nails. If you've heard of collagen, I take collagen. It's the only supplement I take. And
so I have a question about collagen.
Yeah.
You see all these things where they put the spoonful in their coffee and stuff. Why did collagen all of a sudden become such a big deal?
So collagen has always been around. It's like any of those other things where they just start to market it better because you find the research comes out and people are like, oh, this is really good. I started taking it and I can really see a difference in my hair, my skin, my nails, and my joints. And as we get older, collagen really helps with that joint health. So I mix it in my coffee. It's flavorless. It's 2 scoops and I mix it in. Can't even tell it's in there. And that's how I get it in. But it's come out because of, one, if you've ever heard of Vital Proteins, Jennifer Aniston is now like their spokes rep for it. And who wouldn't want to look like Jennifer Aniston? So everyone's going to want to buy it because we all think that, oh, if we drink that, we're going to look like her because she's freaking beautiful. But it's out there because a lot of times it was coming in a pill form or people weren't taking it. And it is essential for us to get a certain amount of collagen in to help keep the hair, nails, bones, joints, all of those things moving in the right direction.
So what do you take for collagen?
I take Vital Proteins. I can drop that link so you guys can see what it is. I really like it. It's one of the brands. Actually, Danielle got me onto it when we were in Arizona. She was taking it, and I've only been taking it since October, and I can see a difference when I don't take it now that I'm consistent. And Vital Proteins, you can get it at Costco most of the time. Amazon, they have a direct website, but I will drop the link. So if you guys want to get it and try it out, you are more than welcome to.
One other question I had was I like this information on protein, but remember the Atkins diet where people ate almost all protein, and then the ones that had issues was where the cholesterol comes in. So like anything else, it still needs to be balanced, but we have to be cautious about making sure we get enough of each thing, right?
Yes. So from my understanding, I don't know a lot about Atkins, but it was get rid of your carbs, get rid of your fat, and protein only. And that's not what I'm suggesting. Is I want you guys to make sure you're getting enough protein as well as those other nutrients. And if you were to eat an absurd amount of protein every single day, so let's say you're eating 500 grams, yeah, your intestines and your organs are not going to cooperate very well after a while. But based on the studies that are out there, and in this podcast, she talked about it really well, there is not, with at least eating your minimum or even eating that amount of the athlete or the physical active person, you're not putting yourself at risk unless your doctor has told you you have this issue, you need to stay lower on the protein intake. Like, unless that's a conversation you had with your medical professional, but you're not going to do any crazy damage of any sorts because we're just looking at balance. If you're eating 200 grams of carbs, let's make sure we're eating at least 50 grams of protein. Like, let's get that balance in there. And it's going to help us feel fuller, longer, help our muscle, help our strength. And the stronger we are, especially our grip strength, the longer we're going to live.
Our grip strength?
Our grip strength. There are studies out there.
Oh, wow.
It's been out there for a while that if your grip strength is weak, your longevity is going to be shorter. Because eventually we lose this grip strength and we stop being able to do things for ourselves. And as soon as we stop being able to do things for ourselves, we stop. It's the downward spiral. Gotcha. So hand grips. I don't know if you guys have hand grips. Those are really good. I use like an old soccer, like a little American Girl doll soccer ball, like one of those soft ones, or a stress ball, just something. And even just hanging on to weights down by your side, hanging on to them. Hanging on to them so that you build some strength around it, and you'll find a difference.
Interesting.
Yeah. Any other questions for me, Tanya? This has been awesome. I've loved it.
I know, I've had a good time. I should be doing something else, but oh well.
You're taking care of yourself.
Well, that's true. And then I went and, you had that last one with when the rest of the girls were on, and I tried Karen Wheatley's asparagus and I burnt it. So I burn a lot of things because I don't cook all the time anymore. He does it, right? So where I went wrong was I put the cheese on during the cooking instead of at the end.
Oh, yeah, I've done that. It's got real crispy and real raw asparagus at the same time.
Yeah. Otherwise, that recipe would have been good.
Any questions before you share your insights and takeaways?
No.
Okay. Insights, takeaways, and what are you working on? What are you going to kind of be more conscious of and be intentional about when it comes to protein or even just your exercise that you shared earlier?
Well, I'm going to try and continue the exercise part, but I'm also going to start putting the peanut butter on the second one.
Perfect.
And I'm going to be more conscious about having hard-boiled eggs and stuff around so that when I'm hungry, I can grab that rather than, I know there's some protein in potato chips, but
I'm not advising eating potato chips for protein.
no. And I don't eat very many because the kettle cook satisfies my crunch. So I don't need as many.
And they rip your mouth up so quickly that you don't want to have more.
I don't rip up my mouth, even with my awful bite.
I love them, but I'm always ripped up on the top of my mouth, like when I used to eat cereal.
And I know I love cereal, but cereal isn't good for us.
It's not awesome. We can talk about cereal.
Different
talk about all of that at a different time. We can get into so many different topics with this.
Oh, I know. So I am intentionally going to try and have hard-boiled eggs around because even though they've gone up extremely in cost, they're nice because I'm kind of lazy when I'm working. So at least it's a protein that I can grab. And I don't have to cook. I don't have to do anything.
Perfect. And that convenience factor is super nice. And the more convenient we can make protein in our life, we're going to grab it more. The reason we have so many carbs in our life, carbs are not bad, but the reason we have so many carbs is carbs are convenient. They're everywhere. They're convenient. That's not the case with protein. There's a little bit more work involved.
Yep.
So remember, I went over some numbers for steak, chicken, all of that. And those are PDFs that I'm happy to share with you. So just drop protein if you want it, and I will send you a message. And then I'm going to ask you a question about your protein after. So just be aware that there we are going to have a conversation. Insights, takeaways, anything else from you, Tanya, before we jump on out of here?
No, but it really opened my eyes because I really need to think a little bit more about protein, especially at my age, because I need to keep my food balanced. And I need to make sure I have the protein in all three, because I can be lazy, like you said, with the carbs, and it'd be really easy to pop in something in the toaster or, grab something else rather than, protein. So I think I need to be conscious of that.
And if you like yogurt, I like to keep yogurt in the fridge, Greek yogurt, and in the single serve containers, because that's a really nice on the go protein. And there is protein in cheese, like normal cheese, not so much the Velveeta cheese, but normal cheese has a gram or two. So when you're pairing that, when you're looking for something else, you can look for I think there's one cheese I think that has like 4 or 5 grams of protein in it, and I'm blanking on which one it is right now. But remember to just flip over your nutrition labels, read your nutrition labels, be aware of what's in your food that you're eating. And the awareness of it will start to kick in, and things will start to flow a little bit easier, and it won't feel so overwhelming.
Sounds awesome. Thank you very much.
You are welcome. Well, this was so much fun. Thank you for being here, Tanya. I appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the comments, shoot me a message, and I will talk to you guys next week. Happy 4th of July. Hope you have an amazing time. And
you too.
Thank you. I'll see you all next week. Bye.
Bye, kiddo.